Elderly woman's dog was chased by a leopard and trapped together in a restroom. Then something unbelievable happened. The Montana sun, a blaze of gold against the backdrop of the Rockies, cast long shadows across the rolling hills. Eleanor sat on her porch swing, a gentle breeze rustling through the aspen trees, a symphony of nature's whispers. Beside her, Buddy, her golden retriever, rested his head on her lap, his warm, brown eyes reflecting the serenity of the afternoon. Buddy wasn't just a dog. He was Eleanor's confidant, her shadow, the furry embodiment of unconditional love. At 82, Eleanor cherished these quiet moments, the rhythm of life slowing down, each day a precious gift. Eleanor's ranch, a sprawling expanse of land nestled in the heart of the Bitterroot Valley, had been her home for over 50 years. She'd arrived as a young bride, full of dreams and a pioneering spirit, alongside her late husband, Thomas. They'd built their life here, brick by brick, board by board, raising their children and grandchildren amidst the grandeur of the Montana wilderness. Now, with Thomas gone and her children scattered across the country, Buddy was her constant companion, a reminder of the simple joys in life. Buddy, a handsome golden retriever with a heart of gold, was more than just a pet. He was family. He'd come into Eleanor's life 5 years ago, a rambunctious puppy with boundless energy, a stark contrast to her quiet solitude. But Buddy's playful spirit had reawakened something in Eleanor, a spark of joy she thought had long been extinguished. He'd become her walking partner, her listening ear, the warm presence that filled the void left by Thomas's passing. This particular afternoon, Eleanor felt a sense of unease, a prickle of intuition she couldn't quite explain. Buddy, sensing her unease, whined softly and nudged her hand with his wet nose. "It's nothing, boy," she murmured, stroking his soft fur. "Just an old woman's whims." But the feeling persisted, a subtle shift in the otherwise peaceful atmosphere. Unbeknownst to Eleanor, a drama was unfolding in the nearby woods. Luna, a young leopard, had escaped from a privately owned wildlife sanctuary a few miles north of Eleanor's ranch. The sanctuary, known for its rehabilitation efforts, housed rescued and orphaned animals, providing them with a safe haven. Luna, however, was restless. A yearning for the wild, for the freedom her ancestors had known, pulsed through her veins. She had found a weak spot in the enclosure's fencing and slipped through, her powerful muscles propelling her into the vast wilderness. Luna, though born in captivity, possessed an innate instinct to hunt. Driven by hunger, she stalked through the dense undergrowth, her senses on high alert. The scent of prey, faint yet tantalizing, drifted on the wind. She paused, her amber eyes scanning the surroundings, her sleek, spotted coat blending seamlessly with the dappled sunlight filtering through the trees. She was a creature of beauty, a symbol of untamed wilderness, now roaming free in the Montana landscape. Little did she know, her path was about to cross with Eleanor and Buddy's, setting in motion a chain of events that would change their lives forever. The late afternoon sun painted the sky in hues of orange and purple as Eleanor decided to take Buddy for a short walk. She usually kept him on a leash, especially near the woods, but today, she felt a little more relaxed. "Just a quick one, boy," she said, clipping the leash to his collar. "Then it's back home for supper." Buddy, always eager for an adventure, wagged his tail enthusiastically and trotted alongside Eleanor as they strolled down the dirt road that bordered her property. The air was crisp and clean, carrying the scent of pine needles and damp earth. Buddy, his nose to the ground, explored every scent, his world a symphony of smells. Meanwhile, Luna, driven by her primal instincts, had picked up Buddy's scent. It was a new smell, unfamiliar, and it piqued her curiosity. She followed the scent trail, her movements fluid and silent, a shadow gliding through the trees. Buddy, sensing something in the woods, stopped abruptly. His ears perked, a low growl rumbling in his chest. Eleanor, startled by his reaction, tightened her grip on the leash. "What is it, boy?" she whispered, her heart starting to pound. Suddenly, Luna emerged from the trees, her spotted coat shimmering in the fading light. Eleanor gasped, her breath catching in her throat. She had never seen a leopard in the wild before, and the sight of this magnificent creature, so close, filled her with a mixture of awe and fear. Luna, equally surprised by the encounter, paused, her amber eyes locking onto Buddy. For a moment, the two animals stood frozen, assessing each other. Then Buddy, sensing the danger, let out a sharp bark and lunged forward, snapping his leash. The chase began. Buddy, despite his age, was surprisingly agile. He darted down the road, Luna close behind, her powerful strides eating up the distance. Eleanor, her heart pounding in her chest, watched in horror as her beloved dog fled for his life. "Buddy, come back!" she cried, her voice trembling. Buddy, driven by instinct and fear, ran as fast as his legs could carry him. He knew the area well, having explored every nook and cranny with Eleanor. He veered off the road and into a small clearing, where a lone diner stood, its windows glowing warmly in the twilight. The diner, a relic of a bygone era, was closed for the day. Buddy, desperate for shelter, spotted an open window to the restroom. He squeezed through the opening, narrowly escaping Luna's grasp, and found himself inside the small, tiled room. He whined softly, his tail tucked between his legs, his heart pounding. Luna, close behind, followed Buddy through the window. She found herself in the same small room, the scent of the dog filling her nostrils. She could hear him whimpering in the corner, but something stopped her. Perhaps it was the confinement of the small space, or perhaps it was the dog's submissive posture, his lack of aggression. Whatever the reason, Luna did not attack. Instead, she watched the dog, her eyes narrowed, her powerful body tense. The hunter and the hunted were now trapped together. In the confines of a small restroom, their fates intertwined. The stale air of the deserted diner restroom hung heavy, thick with the scent of disinfectant and a hint of old coffee. Buddy huddled in the corner, his golden fur ruffled, his breathing shallow. He whimpered softly, his eyes darting nervously towards Luna. He'd never been this close to a predator before, and the leopard's presence filled him with a primal fear. He longed for Eleanor, for the comfort of her touch, the reassurance of her voice. Luna, for her part, remained motionless, her gaze fixed on Buddy. The small room felt confining, the walls closing in on her. She could smell the dog's fear, a scent that usually triggered her hunting instincts. But something was different. The dog wasn't challenging her, wasn't running, wasn't even barking. He was simply there, cowering in the corner, his vulnerability palpable. Luna, despite her hunger, felt a strange sense of unease. This wasn't the hunt she had envisioned. Hours passed. The twilight deepened into night, casting long shadows across the Montana landscape. Inside the restroom, the only light came from a flickering fluorescent bulb, casting an eerie glow on the two trapped animals. Buddy, exhausted and scared, finally succumbed to sleep, his whimpers subsiding into soft snores. Luna remained awake, her senses on high alert. She could hear the sounds of the night, the rustling of leaves, the hooting of an owl, the distant howl of a coyote. The sounds of the wild, the sounds of freedom, echoed in her ears, a stark contrast to the confinement of the small room. She thought of the sanctuary, of the routine, the predictable meals, the safety. But she also thought of the open spaces, the thrill of the hunt, the feeling of the wind in her fur. A conflict raged within her, the pull of instinct versus the memory of captivity. As the night wore on, Luna's hunger grew. Her stomach rumbled, a sharp reminder of her primal needs. She looked at Buddy, still asleep in the corner. He would be an easy meal, but something held her back. Was it the dog's vulnerability? Was it the strange sense of shared confinement? Or was it something more, something deeper, a connection that transcended the roles of predator and prey? Buddy, in his sleep, dreamt of Eleanor. He dreamt of her warm smile, her gentle hands, the comforting scent of her lavender perfume. He dreamt of running through fields of wildflowers, of chasing squirrels up trees, of basking in the warm sunshine. He dreamt of home. As the first rays of dawn began to filter through the small window, Luna made a decision. She wouldn't attack the dog. She wouldn't give in to her hunger. She would wait. She didn't know what she was waiting for, but she knew that something had shifted within her. The primal urge to kill had been replaced by something else, something she couldn't quite understand. Perhaps it was the beginning of a truce, an unspoken agreement between two creatures trapped together, bound by circumstance, their fates intertwined. The first rays of dawn, pale and tentative, crept through the grimy window of the diner restroom, illuminating the unlikely tableau within. Buddy stirred, his eyes fluttering open. He blinked, disoriented for a moment, then his gaze fell on Luna, still perched across the room. The memory of the chase flooded back, and he whimpered softly, shrinking back into his corner. Luna, sensing his movement, lifted her head, her amber eyes meeting Buddy's. There was no aggression in her gaze, no hint of the predator's hunger. Instead, there was something else, something akin to resignation. Buddy, sensing the shift in her demeanor, cautiously wagged his tail, a tentative gesture of peace. Meanwhile, back at Eleanor's ranch, panic had set in. Eleanor had spent a sleepless night, her heart heavy with worry. Buddy hadn't returned. She'd searched the property, calling his name until her voice was hoarse, but there was no sign of him. Fear gnawed at her, the image of the leopard flashing through her mind. She knew she had to call for help. By sunrise, the local sheriff's department had joined the search. They followed Buddy's tracks to the diner, their attention immediately drawn to the broken restroom window. Peering inside, they saw the impossible, a golden retriever and a leopard, sharing the same small space, seemingly at peace. Sheriff Brody, a seasoned law enforcement officer, had seen his share of unusual situations, but this was a first. He immediately called the state wildlife department, requesting their expertise. The safety of both the animals and the public was paramount. It took several hours for the wildlife officials to arrive. They assessed the situation, devising a plan to safely capture the leopard and reunite Buddy with Eleanor. The plan was simple but delicate. Tranquilize Luna with a dart gun, then carefully remove her from the restroom, allowing Buddy to escape unharmed. The tranquilizer dart found its mark, and within minutes, Luna was sedated, her powerful body slumping to the floor. The wildlife officials, cautious but efficient, entered the restroom, securing Luna in a transport crate. Buddy, sensing the commotion, whined nervously. He was scared, confused, but he didn't run. He seemed to understand that these humans were there to help. As the wildlife officials carried Luna out of the restroom, Buddy cautiously followed, his tail wagging hesitantly. Outside, Eleanor waited, her face etched with worry. When she saw Buddy emerge from the diner, her face lit up with relief. "Buddy!" she cried, rushing towards him, her arms outstretched. Buddy, finally seeing his beloved Eleanor, broke into a run, his tail wagging furiously. He leaped into her arms, showering her with licks and whines of joy. Eleanor hugged him tightly, tears streaming down her face. "You're safe, boy," she whispered, her voice choked with emotion. "You're safe." The reunion was a moment of pure joy, a testament to the enduring bond between a woman and her dog. The crowd of onlookers, a mix of law enforcement, wildlife officials, and curious locals, watched with smiles on their faces, touched by the heartwarming scene. Even Sheriff Brody, a man known for his stoicism, couldn't help but crack a smile. He knew he'd witnessed something special, something that would stay with him for a long time. The story of the leopard and the dog trapped in a diner restroom quickly became a national sensation. News crews flocked to the small Montana town, eager to capture the heartwarming tale of the unlikely truce. Newspapers and television stations across the country ran the story on their front pages, accompanied by photos of Buddy and Luna, their images juxtaposed in a way that highlighted the extraordinary nature of their encounter. The incident sparked a flurry of debate. Animal behaviorists weighed in, offering various theories to explain Luna's behavior. Some suggested that the confinement of the small room had suppressed her hunting instincts. Others argued that Buddy's calm demeanor had played a role, preventing Luna from perceiving him as a threat. Still others pointed to the possibility of a deeper connection, a primal understanding that transcended the boundaries of species. The concept of freedom, its impact on animal behavior, became a central theme in the discussions. Experts pointed out that animals, like humans, value freedom. The loss of freedom, the confinement of captivity, can have profound psychological effects, even altering their natural instincts. Luna's reluctance to attack Buddy, some argued, could be attributed to her recent escape from the sanctuary, her newfound taste of freedom still fresh in her mind. Eleanor, thrust into the spotlight, became an unlikely spokesperson for animal welfare. She shared her story with reporters, emphasizing the importance of compassion and understanding towards all living creatures. She spoke of Buddy's gentle nature, his unwavering loyalty, and the surprising connection he had forged with a wild leopard. Her words, spoken with sincerity and conviction, resonated with audiences across the country. The diner, once a quiet, unassuming roadside stop, became a landmark. Tourists flocked to the small town, hoping to catch a glimpse of the restroom where the leopard and the dog had spent their unexpected night together. The diner's owner, capitalizing on the newfound fame, renamed the restroom the Truce Room and began selling souvenirs related to the story. Buddy, the unlikely hero of the tale, became a local celebrity. Children stopped Eleanor on the street, asking to pet him, their eyes wide with wonder. He received bags of fan mail, filled with treats, toys, and heartfelt messages. He even got an invitation to be the Grand Marshal of the town's annual 4th of July parade. Luna, after a thorough health check, was returned to the wildlife sanctuary. The sanctuary, inundated with calls and donations, became a symbol of hope and rehabilitation. Luna's story, the story of an escaped leopard who chose peace over predation, became a testament to the power of compassion and the potential for understanding between humans and animals. The aftermath of the encounter was a whirlwind of attention, a mix of excitement, curiosity, and reflection. The story of the leopard and the dog touched something deep within people, reminding them of the interconnectedness of all living beings and the importance of empathy. It was a story that celebrated the resilience of the human-animal bond and the surprising capacity for peace, even in the most unlikely of circumstances. The whirlwind of media attention eventually subsided. The news cycle moved on to other stories, but the encounter with Luna had a profound effect on Eleanor. The image of the leopard, so powerful yet so vulnerable, trapped in the same small space as Buddy, lingered in her mind. She began to question her own views on wildlife, on captivity, on the delicate balance between human needs and the natural world. She thought about Luna, confined to the sanctuary, her freedom limited. She thought about the other animals she'd seen there, some rescued from dire situations, others born into captivity, all living within the boundaries of their enclosures. Were they truly safe? Were they truly happy? Or were they simply existing, their wild spirits subdued, their natural instincts stifled? Eleanor, a woman of simple pleasures and deep convictions, had always believed in respecting nature, in leaving animals to their own devices. She'd never given much thought to zoos or wildlife sanctuaries, assuming they were doing good work, protecting animals from harm. But Luna's story had challenged her assumptions. She realized she didn't know enough about the realities of animal captivity, the complexities of conservation, the ethical dilemmas involved. Driven by a newfound curiosity, Eleanor began to research the wildlife sanctuary where Luna resided. She learned about its mission, its history, the challenges it faced in caring for rescued and orphaned animals. She discovered the dedication of the staff, their tireless efforts to provide the best possible care for the animals in their charge. She also learned about the ongoing debate surrounding animal captivity, the arguments for and against it, the ethical considerations that weighed heavily on both sides. The more Eleanor learned, the more conflicted she felt. She understood the need to protect endangered species, the importance of rehabilitating injured animals, the role sanctuaries played in educating the public. But she also felt a deep empathy for the animals, their wildness curtailed, their freedom restricted. She couldn't shake the feeling that something was missing, that something essential had been taken away. Buddy, sensing Eleanor's inner turmoil, stayed close by her side, his presence a constant source of comfort. He seemed to understand her unspoken thoughts, his gentle nudges and soft whines offering silent support. Eleanor would often sit on the porch swing, Buddy at her feet, gazing out at the vast Montana landscape, her mind wrestling with these new ideas. The freedom of the open spaces, the wildness of the mountains, seemed to echo the yearning she felt for the animals she had learned about. One afternoon, Eleanor made a decision. She needed to see the sanctuary for herself. She needed to understand firsthand the work they were doing, the lives the animals were living. She needed to see Luna again. She picked up the phone and called the sanctuary, requesting a visit. They were happy to accommodate her. They knew about her and Buddy, and they were eager to share their work with her. A date was set. Eleanor, with Buddy by her side, would soon embark on a journey that would deepen her understanding of the animal world and solidify the bond she felt with all living creatures. She knew, deep down, that this visit would be a turning point, a catalyst for change in her own life and perhaps, in a small way, in the lives of the animals she had come to care so much about. The day of Eleanor's visit to the wildlife sanctuary dawned crisp and clear. The Montana sky, a canvas of azure blue, promised a beautiful day. Eleanor, dressed in her favorite denim overalls and a worn flannel shirt, felt a mix of anticipation and apprehension. Buddy, sensing her excitement, bounced around her feet, his tail wagging furiously. He seemed to know that this was an important day for Eleanor, and he was eager to be a part of it. The drive to the sanctuary was scenic, winding through rolling hills and dense forests. Eleanor, gazing out the window, felt a sense of peace wash over her. The beauty of the natural world, the vastness of the landscape, reminded her of the interconnectedness of all living things. The wildlife sanctuary, nestled in a secluded valley, was larger than Eleanor had imagined. It encompassed hundreds of acres of land, providing a home for a variety of rescued and orphaned animals. As Eleanor and Buddy approached the main building, they were greeted by Sarah, the sanctuary's director, a young woman with a warm smile and a deep passion for animal welfare. Sarah gave Eleanor and Buddy a tour of the facility, explaining the sanctuary's mission and introducing them to some of the residents. They saw bears, wolves, eagles, and a variety of other animals, each with their own unique story. Sarah shared the challenges of caring for these animals, the financial struggles, the emotional toll, but also the immense rewards of seeing them thrive. Eleanor was particularly interested in learning about Luna. Sarah explained that Luna was doing well, adjusting to her life in the sanctuary. She had a large enclosure, designed to mimic her natural habitat, and she received regular veterinary care. Sarah also mentioned that Luna had become somewhat of a celebrity, attracting visitors from all over the world. Finally, Sarah led Eleanor and Buddy to Luna's enclosure. As they approached, Luna emerged from her den, her spotted coat gleaming in the sunlight. She recognized Buddy immediately, her amber eyes widening slightly. She approached the fence, her movements fluid and graceful. Buddy, equally excited to see Luna again, wagged his tail and whined softly. He seemed to remember their shared experience in the diner restroom, the unexpected truce they had forged. Luna, in response, let out a soft purr, a sound that surprised Eleanor. She had never heard a leopard purr before. For a few moments, the two animals stood face to face, separated only by the fence, their connection palpable. Eleanor watched them, her heart filled with emotion. She realized that the bond between Buddy and Luna was more than just a fleeting encounter. It was a testament to the power of empathy, the ability of animals to connect with each other on a deeper level, regardless of species. The visit to the sanctuary was a transformative experience for Eleanor. She gained a newfound appreciation for the work being done to protect and care for rescued animals. She also came to understand the complexities of animal captivity, the ethical considerations that weighed heavily on the hearts of those who dedicated their lives to animal welfare. She left the sanctuary with a deeper understanding of the animal world and a renewed commitment to advocating for their well-being. Eleanor's visit to the wildlife sanctuary marked a turning point in her life. She returned home with a renewed sense of purpose, a fire lit within her to advocate for animal welfare. The encounter with Luna, the connection between Buddy and the leopard, had opened her eyes to the complexities of the human-animal relationship. She realized that compassion wasn't just about loving her own dog. It was about extending that empathy to all living creatures. She began to volunteer at the local animal shelter, spending her days caring for abandoned and neglected animals. She organized fundraising events to support the wildlife sanctuary, sharing her story with anyone who would listen. She wrote letters to her local representatives, advocating for stronger animal protection laws. She even started a small blog, sharing her thoughts and experiences, inspiring others to take action. Eleanor's voice, though soft-spoken, carried weight. Her genuine compassion, her first-hand experience with the leopard and the dog, resonated with people. She wasn't just an animal lover. She was a witness, a storyteller, a voice for the voiceless. Buddy, always by her side, became her furry ambassador. He accompanied her to schools, where she spoke to children about the importance of respecting animals. He visited nursing homes, bringing joy to elderly residents. He even became a certified therapy dog, visiting hospitals and comforting patients. Eleanor's advocacy work extended beyond local efforts. She joined national animal welfare organizations, participating in campaigns to raise awareness about animal cruelty and promote responsible pet ownership. She became a vocal critic of factory farming and animal testing, advocating for more humane treatment of animals in all industries. Her journey wasn't without its challenges. She faced criticism from those who disagreed with her views, who saw her activism as meddling or extreme. She received hate mail, some even threatening her and Buddy. But Eleanor remained undeterred. She knew she was fighting for what was right, and she wouldn't back down. Years passed. Eleanor, despite her advancing age, continued her advocacy work. Her passion for animal welfare only grew stronger with time. She became a mentor to younger activists, sharing her wisdom and experience. She inspired a new generation of animal advocates, empowering them to make a difference. One sunny afternoon, Eleanor sat on her porch swing, Buddy resting his head on her lap. She looked out at the Montana landscape, the rolling hills, the majestic mountains, the vast open spaces. She thought about Luna, still living at the wildlife sanctuary, a symbol of hope and resilience. She thought about all the animals she had helped, the lives she had touched. A sense of peace washed over her. She knew she had made a difference, however small. She had used her voice to speak for those who couldn't speak for themselves. She had shown the world the power of compassion, the importance of empathy, the interconnectedness of all living things. As the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the valley, Eleanor smiled. She knew her work was far from over, but she also knew that she had planted seeds of change, seeds that would continue to grow long after she was gone. The story of the leopard and the dog, the unlikely truce in the diner restroom, had become more than just a heartwarming tale. It had become a symbol of hope, a reminder that even the most different creatures can find common ground, that even the smallest act of kindness can have a ripple effect, changing the world one heart at a time. And as Buddy rested his head on her lap, Eleanor knew that she wasn't just an advocate for animals. She was a guardian of their stories, a keeper of their hearts, a voice for their freedom.